Fantasy Football Week 6 Wide Receiver Guide. Who to start and who to bench. Wide receiver selections can make or break your fantasy football week, and Week 6 is no exception. But here's where it gets controversial. While many focus on the household names like Josh Allen or Jamar Chase, the real fantasy payday often hides just beneath the surface. This guide zeroes in on those crucial wideouts who might either surprise us with a breakout performance or disappoint in tough matchups. And this is the part most fantasy players miss: the strategic value of analyzing matchups through a PPR, points per reception lens, which directly impacts scoring potential. For those final lineup tweaks, don't forget to check my regularly updated weekly player rankings throughout the 2025 NFL season. Designed to keep you a step ahead. Top wide receiver picks for Week 6. Puka Nacua heading to face the Ravens. Amon-Ra St. Brown making a trip to the Chiefs. Jackson Smith-Njigba taking on the Jaguars. Jamar Chase visiting the Packers. Roma Dunze locking horns with the Commanders on Monday night. Emeka Egbuka hosting the 49ers. Drake London matching up against the Bills. Also Monday night, Deebo Samuel Sr. Squaring off versus the Bears Monday evening. Davante Adams playing at the Ravens. Tetairoa McMillan facing the Cowboys. If you want to dive deeper, the complete Week 6 rankings are available for a comprehensive look at all receivers. A quick heads up, the Texans and Vikings have their bye week, so plan accordingly. Start of the week, Tetairoa McMillan versus Cowboys, Sunday 1 p.m. ET, Fox. McMillan has yet to have a breakout performance, but this game could be the turning point. The Cowboys' defense is notoriously vulnerable against receivers on the outside, conceding the most fantasy points to perimeter wideouts this season. To put it simply, no fewer than 6 wide receivers have scored over 15 points against them. 5 have topped 19 points, and 3 have exploded for over 28 fantasy points. This matchup screams opportunity. Recommended starters: Deebo Samuel Sr. versus Bears. Monday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, ABC. Since Terry McLaurin's absence, Deebo Samuel Sr. has taken center stage, racking up over 20 points in consecutive weeks and commanding 42% of the offense's targets. Facing a Bears defense that ranks 5th in points allowed to slot receivers, Monday night's game is primed for a strong fantasy showing from Samuel. Xavier Worthy versus Lions. Monday, 8:20 p.m. Eastern, NBC. Worthy's 11.1 points last week was steady, but this could be the week he jumps higher. The game total has soared to 50.5 points, hinting at a fast-paced, high-scoring affair. Detroit has allowed 7 receiving touchdowns to wide receivers already, the 7th most in the league, indicating Worthy is set for bounce-back potential. Marvin Harrison Jr. at Colts, Sunday 1 p.m. ET, Fox. Harrison Jr. has been steady with 33 PPR points over his last 2 games. The Colts defense has given up the 5th most points to wide receivers this season, with 4 receivers having scored 15-plus points against them. Plus, Harrison Jr. has added motivation facing his dad's former team, adding an emotional edge. Chris Olave versus Patriots, Sunday 1 p.m. ET, CBS. Olave leads the league in targets behind only Puka Nacua, signaling he's the go-to receiver. The Patriots' defense has allowed 6 wide receivers to log over 12 points, with 3 surpassing 16 points, making this matchup prime for a big game from Olave. Additional recommended starters: Devonta Smith versus Giants, Thursday 8:15 p.m. ET, Prime Video. Stephon Diggs at Saints, Sunday 1 p.m. CBS. Calvin Ridley versus Raiders, Sunday 4:05 p.m. Fox. Sit of the week: Brian Thomas Jr. versus Seahawks, Sunday 1 p.m. Fox. Thomas Jr. season hasn't been kind, ranking 40th among wide receivers in fantasy points. Starting him against the Seahawks is risky, as they've allowed only 2 touchdowns to perimeter receivers all season. Until the Jaguars stabilize their passing game, Thomas Jr. remains a shaky fantasy option. Recommended sits. DJ Moore at Commanders, Monday 8:15 p.m. ET, ABC. Moore's role has diminished behind Rome Odunze in Chicago's offense. He's failed to hit double digits in most games and rarely sees more than 6 targets, making him a risky start against the Commanders. Jameson Williams at Chiefs, Monday 8:20 p.m. ET, NBC. Williams has struggled badly, with single-digit scoring in nearly every game and minimal target volume. Only 1 catch last week, despite favorable matchups. Kansas City's defense is tougher, so Williams is best left benched. Chris Godwin versus 49ers, Sunday 4:25 p.m. ET, CBS. Returning from injury, Godwin's numbers have been disappointing. Operating primarily outside rather than in the slot, where he's historically been stronger, combined with facing the 49ers' stingy perimeter defense, suggests this won't be a fruitful outing. Jerry Jeudy at Steelers, Sunday 1 p.m. ET, CBS. Despite decent target volume, Jeudy's production has been underwhelming. Although the Steelers have allowed points to perimeter receivers, Jeudy's inconsistent output makes him a low-confidence flex, only for managers desperate to fill spots. Other wideouts to avoid. Ladd McConkey at Dolphins, Sunday 1 p.m. ET, CBS. Travis Hunter versus Seahawks, Sunday 1 p.m. ET, Fox. Khalil Shakir at Falcons, Monday 7:15 p.m. ET, ESPN. Final thoughts. Does relying on matchup-based strategies lead to more consistent fantasy success?